Welcome to Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. I'm Len Mort.
And I'm Dory Cronin.
And together we try to bring you informative, interesting programs. And before we get into our program for today, how you been, Dory?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. Things have been kind of hectic with our food drives in town, with St. Vincent de Paul. Trying to keep up with the yard work. The leaves are falling. My yard's full of acorns. You know anybody who wants some nuts?
I don't know. There's a lot of acorns this year.
There's a lot of nuts in town too. How's things going with your kids?
Good, very good. Morgan's getting ready for basketball season, which is going to be great. And Ashley just got a letter in the mail today saying that she's been accepted to the National Honor Society.
Oh, congratulations.
And the National Technical Honor Society. So
that's a
very,
great honor.
very proud of her.
I would be too.
Yeah.
You know the amazing thing about when we started this, the girls were only about so tall.
I know. I was rewatching some of the early shows, and you can see like them in the background, like at the diner, sitting there having some lemonade.
Or down at the center museum in Rhode Island.
Yep.
They were in the background serving dinners to nobody, or the fingers holding the sign up at Waters Farm.
The wind kept blowing the sign, so Morgan was holding the sign. You could just see her legs underneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're growing up fast.
Yeah, that gets frightening, I think, sometimes. Hey, you posted some pictures of the kids and yourself, and geez, one of them's almost as tall as you are.
Well, Ashley's as tall as me. Morgan's taller. And she's the younger one. So she's already like 5'9½".
Wow. It's great watching them grow up, And
I'm lucky. They're good kids. Very, very good. They both work hard in school. They get along with people.
Well, they got a great mom.
Oh, thank you.
Something to look up to and try to be like,
Thank you.
Well, you're more than welcome. Yeah. What else has been going on?
Just working, trying to keep everything in check.
Yeah, sometimes that's like trying to bail out the ocean,
It's hard. And you were stocking some shelves today, right?
Yeah, we with our food pantry over at St. Bridget's, St. Vincent de Paul, we were moving in a lot of food. I would imagine we must have moved 400 pounds of food today, and bringing it in and stocking the cabinets, because things are going to get pretty rough for the holidays.
I think so.
There's a lot of needy people in the community, and we try to service quite a few of them with a food drive, and we get constant calls all the time for people that are out of oil, their light's been shut off, and they're desperate, they're in need, and we try to do as much as we can for them.
It's nice that you help out. I mean, even it's all a balancing act, and hopefully nothing falls out of balance, because that's.
Speaking of St. Vincent de Paul, I was just elected president of St. Vincent de Paul.
Congratulations.
Well, I take those congratulations to heart, but I wonder if I'll be saying this was a great move later on, because it's
a lot of
very
responsibility.
Hectic. There's a lot to it, and we're serving the two parishes, St. Bridget's and Assumption, but we're also taking. It doesn't matter who comes to us. Whether they go to a Catholic church, a Baptist church, Episcopal church, if they're in need, we give them as much help as we possibly can. And the only way we can do that is through donations from parishioners, businesses, anyone in town. And we do receive donations which help us to provide all those services for people, And with the cold weather coming now, people are going to be out of oil, and
that's the thing. I mean, thank goodness so far this year the oil prices are less than they have been.
But that can change in a heartbeat,
I know.
Just change like the weather, and it's hard and unfortunate. But the sad thing that in communities like this, that there are people that are actually in need of services. They may be ill and can't afford medication. They have no food in the house. The lights have been turned off. The oil tank went dry. And some of them, when you look into the situations, you find that it's just sad You know, I answer the phone all the time for St. Vincent de Paul here in Millbury, and I've had people call, and I'd literally end up with tears in my eyes listening to their needs and their story, you know. But someone's got to do it. And we're always looking for volunteers, too. And we're always looking for new members for St. Vincent de Paul, especially younger members, because, you know, the needs are getting greater, the loads are getting heavier, and most of us are up there in years. I'm halfway to 150, you know, and we've got some other older people there. And we need some younger bodies to join St. Vincent de Paul.
Oh.
But
We'll spread the word.
but that's not what this program was about.
I know, but it's still about people helping people, always, you know.
Exactly, and that's what we're here for today, you know, people helping people. There's all sorts of people that get involved with different needs of the community, whether it be like St. Vincent de Paul, helping with food and so on. People helping raking yards for elderly, or driving elderly to the mall, the shop for shopping, taking them to the doctor or so on. I mean, these are things that even the senior center provides. If someone needs a ride to the hospital or for a visit, or to the doctor for a visit, they have a bus that can take them. But there are so many other people in the community that, and organizations that help people. And we have with us this evening a group from a motorcycle club, and the name of their group is B.A.A.K, B.A.A.K, Bikers Against Abusing Kids. And with us we have Zach Rocca, who I believe, Zach, you're the president?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why don't you tell us about your organization and your members?
Well, Bikers Against Abusing Kids was started in 2006 to help a family relative. Started out like a aunt and uncle type of organization, and it grew from there. More members came in. We realized that we could do what we were doing for a child that we were protecting for other kids, and so we expanded from there. It's like we help kids that are physically and sexually abused, and help them go to court, help them testify, be a second family unit to them when they need it. You name it, we're there. Birthdays, Christmas. It's close and dear to me. I'm a survivor, so you know, helping these kids makes a big difference. You know, for me and for the kids that we help out. It's growing. You know, we've been growing for the past 3 or 4 years, and really expanding. We have a chapter in Maryland. We have one coming up in Florida, and one starting in Rhode Island. One in Utah. So we're getting there, growing a little bit by bit. But you know, we do child advocacy basically. You know, we want to help kids that are in foster care. We want to help kids that are in turmoil in their family. We have several active cases right now that are a little zany and take up a lot of our time, but we're going at it. You know.
Why don't you introduce your two partners?
All right. Well, this is the professor. The professor is recently voted in as a full patch member, so he doesn't have his full cut yet, but we're working on it. And this is Cadillac. We call him Cadillac because he drives the nicest cars around. And Cadillac is in prospect status, and he is also. Actually, you're out of prospect status. We voted him in to be a full patch member at the most recent meeting. So we're my crew's doing well.
Getting the board together.
Yeah, getting everything going.
So how does it work? Somebody like, I want to come in. I want to be a member. So I'm just curious, like.
Well, we do a pretty thorough background check. Most people that come into the organization, we get to know them for about 6 months to a year. It's called hang around, and then we'll bring them in as a prospect. And a prospect basically You know, it's unlike other motorcycle clubs, we don't have them out there washing and waxing our bikes, although it would be nice. But they don't, no matter how much I yell at them. And they come in, when they're in prospect status, they really get to know the internal workings of the organization and how we do things. Usually when we put somebody in prospect status, that means we like them and we want them in. And they just have to go through a series of tasks. And the tasks aren't really daunting. They're just basically assurance to us that they're qualified to be with us. And we do an FBI background check on everybody that comes in. So we look for, the two main things that we look for is domestic violence and sexual assault. And if they have that in their background, there's no way they're going to be a part of us. And you know, time, prospect status could be 3 months, could be 6 months, could be a year. If there's, you know, things that aren't working out, not meshing, you know, we just ask them, have a nice day. You know, it's not anything negative. It's just, you know, we want people that are going to be cohesive, you know. So.
We also assign a patched member to each prospect, sort of a mentor that coaches them up, shows them the inner workings, who's been around for a little while, gives them the idea of sort of what the organization's about, and guides them through, sort of, like I said, coach them and see if they'll be a good fit.
That's the key. It's like, you know, I mean, it's not like we have a lot of secrets. We're very public about what we do. It's just that making sure that we have the right people in place. And I've learned recently that you got to just trust your gut, and especially when dealing with people. You go with your gut all the time. And but outside of that, it's really just getting, you know, to get to know the person and to make sure that they have that commitment, that drive, you know, because we invest a lot of time into them. So we don't like people leaving if, you know, we understand family matters and, you know, people have to step down for various different reasons. But, you know, if we invest the time into it, we really want you to make the commitment to it. But some guys are here for the wrong reason. You know, they're here for the patch. They're not here for the commitment. And the children come first, you know. And what we do with the kids, our most recent one that we had, it's very touchy. Like we have a transgender now that we're helping out that was sexually assaulted. So it's a learning curve for us, you know. We reach out to other members in different communities and the LBGT community, and just really, it's amazing what we're learning as we're going about. But once again, let's just basically follow your gut. That's the bottom line, you know.
Now, the children that are abused, you know, we watch TV every day, watch the news, and so often we see that a child was neglected, maybe anywhere from an infant to, you know, a 10, 12-year-old. They're left on their own for hours, maybe in an automobile, while the parent's shopping or in a bar drinking. Yep. You know, and you find that children are being left at home alone while the parents are out doing whatever they're doing.
Right.
And they are totally, absolutely neglected. But then you see on the news now children that have been beaten, you know, severely injured, and even death.
Definitely.
Like the one that we had in the news a short while ago that took almost forever to find the parents,
Baby
those
Bella.
responsible.
Yeah.
Baby Bella.
You know, so how do you, as a group, advocates for these children who are being abused, how do you get your contacts? How are you notified about this?
Mainly it comes through email and through our website and through word of mouth. Cases come into us all the time through the email asking for help. We have to decipher, the first thing we ask for is there a court document? You know, it's the very first thing we get into, because we've had a lot of cases where it's a husband and wife getting a divorce, and it's a he said, she said thing. And so we have a step procedure that we follow. And once they start giving us documentation, then we'll start following up on the case and take it from there. You know, when they come in to us, it's basically, I need help. You know, he did this, he did that, my daughter's scared. And our first reaction is, our first interaction is go meet with the family, have a preliminary interview with them first. We sit down, we talk with them, no pressure. We just want to find out all the facts, get all the documents that we can. Then we take that all back, we read through all the documents, go through the arrest reports, and then we'll finally make a decision if we're going to take the child on as an adoption. And we'll adopt them into our family, and then we'll go back out and sit with the family and the child and let them know what we're about and what we're going to be doing.
Now, you say adopt them into your family. You're talking the family of the motorcycle group.
Yeah, Bikers Against Abusing
Okay.
Kids. So they become a back member, a protected child.
And this is not a legal adoption.
Technically, it's in Florida. They tried to say it wasn't a legal adoption, but the state actually sided with us on that, with a child that we had down there. So, is it legal? No. You know, I mean, like, can we? But what it does is it gives us 24-hour access to the child, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, until the day they turn 18. And then they have the decision if they want to come on as a member or come on as a supporter, or they can eliminate us altogether. But it's just that we're there if they need us. You know, so like they get in a jam, you know, high school dance or something like that. Maybe did something they weren't supposed to do. Don't want mommy and daddy to come pick them up. We'll pick them up. We'll explain mommy and daddy what's going on, but we'll also, you know, we'll be there for them. You know, we're not going to leave them out high and dry.
Are you tied to or affiliated with any agencies in any way?
Regarding like what agencies? Like what agencies?
Well, any agency pertaining to, you know, family matters.
But DCF?
Not directly.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Well,
We have
get-
contacts here and there
Yeah.
throughout the different organizations, but we don't have any direct involvement with them because of obvious conflict of interest type situations that may get in, and different biases depending on where the information is coming out from the story. You know, it's like he said, more he said, she said type deal. You can get that same with media outlets, and different organizations may have different views. We even went to the length of conducting sort of our own investigation with one of the cases. You know, we went out and we talked to the neighbors, got our facts the way we should, outside of the family, asked them to contact us through there. Didn't end up panning out, but that's what happens with some cases.
Because in a situation like that, you could have an irate neighbor
Yep.
that has a bone to pick with the family, and they could
True.
concoct a untrue story,
Yep.
you know, just to create aggravation in all
Exactly.
ways. And it's not saying that it hasn't been done,
Yep.
because I'm sure it has.
Oh
Absolutely.
boy, has
You
it. I have experienced it firsthand. I know exactly what it's like. So
And that's why it's important to gather all the facts before
Yes.
proceeding with anything, whether it be adoption or helping the family bring it to court or something. We want to make sure that they have a valid case and that every option has been exhausted before we step in, or step in and help them guide them through the process.
There is a difference between abuse and spanking a child, as far as
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
concerned. You know, I grew up in an era where, you know, if you did something wrong, wait till your father gets home.
exactly, yeah.
You know,
See, for
and
me, it was
my mother had a razor strap. You
A
know,
razor strap?
yeah, and I experienced that a couple of times. You know, and there were a lot of families that had the
well, yeah.
same thing, or a switch.
A switch, right?
Absolutely.
Or
Oh,
they
boy, I
give you
grew
a
up with that
good
too.
slap, you know. And I think that they say, what, spit or odd, you know, and I forget what the rest of it, spit or odd, save a child or something like that.
Well, the child.
But there's so many people today that don't care what their children are doing.
Exactly, yeah.
They don't monitor their children. And the children can come and go as they please. And then when you turn around and you find some of these children out there and you listen to the vocabulary with their parents,
Right.
Yep.
you
Lack
know,
of respect.
it's
Somebody
appalling.
knows.
It's huge.
It's really huge.
It is
It's
very,
bigger
very
than,
big.
My wife just experienced it yesterday here at the track, you know, with a couple of teenagers that were running around. And it's a good thing she didn't call. I would have had a nice little
Even-
conversation.
At a soccer game, bad call. There's bad
Yeah.
calls. That's
Yeah.
part of every game that there is. And I've always told my daughters, that's why you have coaches.
Mhm.
You always are respectful.
Mhm.
But there was a player on the field that really went, and it was a girl, teenage girl, face to face with the ref arguing. I have never ever seen it.
Wow.
That's
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that.
I've seen plenty of parents getting
It's true though. It's true.
That's definitely crossed over.
to an actual teenager doing it. That's a different story. I mean, I can think that possibly part of the contributing factor is the fear of backlash. You know, they're, especially at an influential age, teenagers or younger, I mean, elementary school, sometimes their imaginations are running so vividly, they tend to fabricate stories. Part of it may be true, part of it may be exaggerated. If that gets back to the wrong person,
Right.
then
And it does, it
DCF
gets-
gets involved. And like you stated, discipline was a huge thing in my family. We learned awfully quick not to talk back or act up. And now, you know, you can't even raise a hand at a child without somebody calling DCF
Yeah, true,
or something
yeah.
like that. So that's a disconnect in authority figures, I guess.
That's the biggest thing I noticed is just like when I was a kid, we respected police. You know, we respected firemen. We respected our teachers. You know, even though we didn't agree with them all the time, but you know, you always had that instilled fear. It's
Yes,
like,
sir, no, sir.
Exactly, and it's like, man, like I do see the difference now. It's like there's a huge lack of, and I can't attribute it to well, we grew up in the age of spanking. Does that have anything to do with it? I just think it's education on the parents' part.
If you look around today at the kids on the corner or the kids in the park, it seems they have no respect for anyone, whether it's elderly, adult, or a child, and they have no concern on what takes place, you know. And I personally believe that, and this is my only opinion, that it all starts at home.
It does,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely does.
if there's no respect at home, there's no respect on the outside with the kids.
Right.
And today you find that the mother and the father, and with the economy, they're both working. You know, so the children are home. You know, they can do as they want. And today, every child you see has a cell phone or a tablet, and they're on those tablets and cell phones constantly. You know, and you know, we didn't have cell phones. You know what we played with when I was a kid? The outdoors.
Yes.
Yep.
You know.
Cops and rubbers out in the woods, man.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we got home
Yep. What's
in
that?
time for dinner before dark.
Yep.
My mother would say, when that street light comes on, you
Yeah.
best be at
Yeah,
home.
exactly.
You know.
Did you ever try to dig a hole in China? I did that several times, man. I really did. I really thought I saw our Chinese guy on the other side of the dirt one day. No, didn't. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's the big. I don't see kids outside anymore.
But
you?
now
I mean, I
you
really
say
don't.
in the news just recently, I don't know if you saw it, but I did, and I've seen it a couple of times on the internet, that there was a young boy, I think he was 14 or 16. They were in church, and they beat him severely,
heard about
including
it,
his
yes.
parent.
I did see this.
And it was part of a church ritual, I
Ritual.
guess.
Right.
And he was put into the hospital in severe condition. You know, now there is abusing
That's
the
absolute
kids.
abuse. Absolute. You know, getting a spank on the wrist or a swat on the butt, that's not abuse. You know.
Now that's a
But
beating.
There is a difference.
When you get knocked down a
between
flight
too
of
much.
stairs, you know, my mom did that a few times. When you get knocked down a flight of stairs, it's pretty much abuse.
Yeah.
You know, you talked about switches and the razor strap. My mom used to be a bartender, so that razor strap I know well, really well. And but yeah, she had a control issue, you know, and that was her problem.
Yeah, I knew better than to get caught doing something bad.
Yeah, didn't know it was.
So I tried very carefully not to get caught.
There's an art to that.
Yes, there is. You know.
Excuse me.
Now, so how many cases do you guys have right now? Like open,
Right now, active cases in this area, just 7, and then we just got a new one out of Gloucester, which was our most recent one. That was September. We went on this one.
Yeah, late August, early September.
Yeah, and it's a transgendered teen who's female to male, and she was raped. How do you do this?
I
You know, how do you
What's
come
the-
out?
what's the right
How do you come
answer?
out and say this? Basically, somebody took advantage of her, and she was a virgin, and that was it. And it took advantage. Once again, kids, drinking is not what you should be doing. You know, it's like at age 13, but he took advantage of a situation. He was 22 years old, and took it. Yeah, he absolutely knew what he was
Yeah.
doing. Absolutely knew
Yeah.
what he was doing. And
Right or wrong, you're
destroyed.
underage.
It really destroyed her. I mean, mentally has destroyed him. Tore him up. But we went there. He was very standoffish to us. And by the end of the interview, he was talking with us. And one of the things that we do is when we take on a case and we accept a case, we accepted it right there on the spot. There was no need for going back and discussing. We had enough evidence right there. Excuse me. One of the things that we do, and once we do take on a case, is we go notify the offender that we're on the case, and that
How many of you go?
as many as possible. As
Depends
many
on
as
how many
possible.
people we need.
Yeah.
I mean, is it your job
No.
at that point to intimidate?
No, not to intimidate. What we do is we basically, we videotape it when we do it. One person goes to the door, and we just basically ask for the person that's involved, and then we hand them a brochure or her, and say we're from Bikers Against Abusing Kids, and we're taking on the case that you were involved with. We don't mention any names, and then we usually leave. When we went to this person's house, his mom answered the door, and she's like, "What did he do now?"
Oh, she had no idea.
Yeah. No, he's got a history of some trouble in the past.
Not
And-
the first time the door's been knocked on.
Yeah, and when we were, the protocol as far as being in a motorcycle club, when you're going into different areas of the state, you make phone calls to different clubs to let them know that you're coming up. So it's not a surprise, or, people making phone calls, hey, I saw this guy. So we always do that when we're going into a different area of the state, and just let them know it's a courtesy. And the offers for help are, like, from some of these crews and clubs, are amazing. But we don't take those. We don't take the offers for those. This is all us, So we're not there to intimidate. We're just let them know that we're involved with it. But he wasn't around that day that we went there, so we just ended up going to McDonald's and having a coffee and, shooting a breeze. And one of his buddies came in, and he's like, kind of looks familiar. And I went over and talked to him, and immediately he knew why we were there. Immediately. And he's been, the perp, I don't even know how to say it, the rapist, that's what I'll call him, has been very low-key for the past couple of months. So it's a good thing, because it gives the DA time to get the case going. The DA has been very good with the case. They're checking up on the child, and which is good, but it's the police department that's involved in there. They're kind of not going as fast as we would like them to go, because they have other things going on in the media right now that are, how do you say that?
Time consuming.
Well, yeah, it
It
makes
makes
them,
them mismanage.
Our quote-unquote higher priority
yeah, higher power, yeah.
in
Which
their
is
eyes.
nice.
We all have agendas, but you would think, being a public servant, that everything would be encompassed in that, not just one aspect of the job or one program that they're doing.
Right.
That's,
I'm sure that, with law enforcement, that the wheels are turning in the background. And
They are, but it's very
they have
slow.
to go at a slow pace, because they're investigating, not just the next door neighbor, the family, but relatives that may not even live in this state, So there's an awful lot going on there, and I know that from experience over the
Right,
years,
yeah.
because I was involved with the auxiliary police in Worcester and Millbury, and we had training of this nature, and sometimes when they get into an investigation, of course, the people that are on the hurt side saying, well, you're not going fast enough.
Exactly.
Right.
I want an answer today, but you can't very well get an answer today, because it's so deep, and they have to go in so many different avenues
Exactly.
in order to come to the focal point of the issue and the people involved. You know, and it may take 6 months, it may take a year before they actually pinpoint what the cause was, why it was, and who's going to the clink.
Right.
You know.
You know, for us, we'd like to see it move a little bit faster. You know, we would like to see at least
Yeah, we
a
all do.
step-by-step procedure taking place. But waiting back, you know, on DNA evidence, it takes forever. There's a huge backlog on it. I mean, it's, and that's the frustrating part because, you know, you have a child that's waiting for some kind of, you know, justice. And
It takes all the power away from the child or the
Exactly.
victim. They just want, and I think that's part of what makes us,
Antsy.
or what we do so gratifying, is that we sort of fill that void and give them, and are able to give them back some of that power, whether it be temporary or long term. Give them some sort of answer or some sort of reassurance that they weren't in the wrong, that they were the victim, and what they did was everything that they could have done.
right, not their fault.
And that brings them, that brings back some of their power. And like that case, you could tell almost immediately.
Oh, yeah.
He opened right up once we said, you know, we're not
got
the
your back.
police. We got your back. We're not going to go running and telling anyone. We're just going to take the evidence that you give us, form our own opinion, or form our own case, and go from there.
And the big thing with this one is that, you know, because it's something that we don't deal with on a daily basis, we've reached out to different communities and the people that are coming forward to help. As a matter of fact, kind of like one of your friends came forward.
She did.
Yeah. So, transgender, she came forward. So, and you know, they walked through the same process pretty much, but a little bit, you know, not as open back when they were teenagers. But it's you know, it's now it's in the spotlight as much with, you know, with Bruce Jenner or Caitlyn Jenner or what is it?
Still, even though it's
okay.
Yes.
even though it's more known,
Yeah.
I don't think it makes it any easier.
No, no,
know?
no. But at least, but like for us, we actually we started reaching out to people, and the first thing we did was go right to our Facebook page. Who can help us with this? Because it's something we're not used to. And wham, started coming through.
Yeah.
You know, with the links and the resources and the counseling, you know, that we can set up. So that's what we started to do, and started to set this child up with the, you know, counseling and help them get through, not just with the rape, but how to transition this
Right.
lifestyle.
All the
So-
obstacles.
Yeah, it's tough for someone transitioning at that age
Yes.
in general, but then for something like this to happen, it
Right.
just compounds that.
Yeah.
Well, with the young kids, excuse me, you know, if they're abused, beaten, molested, this safety blanket has been taken away. Their
Absolutely.
security is
Absolutely.
now gone,
Yep.
and they're vulnerable. And in a lot of cases, I would surmise that the individual who is the, in your words, perp,
Yeah.
has put
Groomer.
fear into them.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe even verbally, if you tell anyone,
That's part
you
of it,
know,
though. That's
I'll
part
kill
of
your
what they do.
sister, or I'll kill your mother, or I'll kill
Exactly.
your parents. And this has happened to people. But regardless of the abuse, especially with molestation of a child, this psychological damage that is done, and in some cases it's been permanent. But if it isn't permanent, it takes a long time for that psychological damage to be removed with therapists and gaining the confidence back from people or their family, okay, and gaining new security. And it appears as if that new security is what you people are working with.
Absolutely.
Trying to, yeah.
We've had victims.
Excuse me.
Most recent court appearance, she wouldn't go into the courtroom until we showed up. She wouldn't leave the courtroom unless we went with her.
Gives them power back.
It's, yeah.
And when you think about that,
You want to leave the courtroom.
when you think about that psychological damage that's done,
Yeah.
think about it. It's done to an adult when they're molested.
Right.
Okay, they carry
Let's
it
not
for a long
sugarcoat
time.
it. It's not
But
molestation. It's rape. That's the bottom line.
the same thing though, but a child handles it worse than an adult. Adult handles it badly, you know, and for good reason, you know, because they were raped. You know, a child has nowhere to turn.
My questions, as from my own experience, was what is wrong with me?
Right.
What did I do wrong for that to happen?
You don't have that foundation of right and wrong,
No.
you know.
If
So-
it happens at such an early age that
And they look for
throws
kids.
everything off kilter.
They look for kids. When they're grooming somebody, they look for a weak child. They look for somebody that's in a turmoil family or a broken home, and that's what they look for because
they
they're
can have
the
influence over.
they can say exactly. They can side with them, and they can be their friend, be their buddy, and coach them right into where they want to be. And then the next thing you know, you're, what the hell? What just happened to me?
Ironically, in a family where one of the parents, one of the two parents is abusing a child, whether it's beating or anything else, there's apathy in the home. Because the other parent, in a lot of cases, knows what's
Denial.
going
Oh my
on
God, yes.
and doesn't do a thing about it.
Yep. It's like a
Maybe
sense
it's
of denial.
fear, because they'll be abused, you know, or murdered, but there's apathy in the home. And that's one of the biggest downfalls of our world today, you know, is apathy. People turn and look the other way, you know, and
Yeah.
say, I don't want to know because I don't want to get involved. I don't want to have to go to court.
Knowing is just as bad in my eyes. Knowing it's going on. Look at that case in Hardwick. They finally charged the
Finally.
boyfriend's mother.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, the father's girlfriend.
Father's girlfriend.
That's what
was
it is.
Finally charged.
Jeez,
Finally
the father's
indicted.
girlfriend had no part of it, but knew well
She lived in the
that's
house.
what was happening,
You know.
and she was finally charged.
Finally. I mean, it was like, once again, the wheels of justice were turning very slowly, but we knew what was going on. You know, we knew that was coming. And as a matter of fact, she was attacking us when we took on that case. She started attacking us immediately, started attacking another organization that was trying to help the family out. And I mean, oh, you don't know, just trying to badmouth the mother, saying, you know, coming up with everything in the book about her. And we did our own investigation. We know nobody has a perfect past. But this mom was a mom.
That's what you choose to do with it.
That was the bottom
at
line.
that point.
She was a mother, you know, not a junkie. This mom with her own children in that house allows this to happen to this kid, you know, and to drop all that weight, and he's still in a coma. We call him Billy Jack. He's our little buddy.
It's tragic that this type of thing exists in our world today.
It's been here forever.
It
It's
has.
just that, you know, it seems that Witchell's social media, it really, you know, gets out more
see
now.
more.
Yeah, and that's what our job is too with our page and our website is that to notify people, to aggravate people, to get you pissed off enough to make a comment and enough to do something about it. You know, come ride with us.
Everybody needs to stand up a little bit sometimes. You know, when something's wrong, stand up.
Everyone's taught now.
Look the other
even
way.
in school, look the other way. Don't be a tattletale. You know, you need to bring it to someone.
How many members do you have in
14,
your chapter?
Well, 14 in the Worcester chapter, but no, overall the club that's kind of like hushed. But our numbers are good. Want to grow the numbers because we need more help. You know, and the reason for that is we all have full-time occupations. You know, we all do something. We all earn a living, and court cases are frequent. You know, sometimes you can be in a courtroom twice a month for the same case. Sometimes it's once every 3 months. So we need people that can, you know, be that backup. Show up on that court case on a Tuesday at 9 o'clock in the morning. When 14 of the members can't all be there, 3 will come, you know. So if we have 24 members, it's a little of a less burden, you know, for all of us to make that commitment. Because it does take a lot away from us. I mean, you know, if we lose a full day of work, that's a full day of pay that comes out of our family. You know, so that's the reason why we look for more, you know, more members, you know, because and it's more exciting for the kids at the same time, you know, when they see a pack of 20 or 30 motorcycles showing up versus, you know, 14 of them. It's just, you know, it's the whole numbers thing. Like one of our cases out of Barry, the girl is the case, but the son, the younger son, he was the one that
He's loving it.
He loved us, man. He
As
just
soon as we rolled up, he hopped on his
Little
dirt
dirt bike?
bike and started putting up and down the road and asking
He did.
Mom if he could pose in between the bikes, and
and I put my gun on him.
didn't want to get too close to the bikes, but wanted to be sort of with us, and so
Yeah.
we took pictures, and it made it about him and or about the whole family, not
Yeah,
just
the whole
victim.
family. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And
it was pretty
what
cool.
was the cool part was we got an email from the mom. The son suffers from ADHD, has a little behavioral problems, but she said after we left that day, he's like, I'm going to be one of them. It's weird.
Started helping cleaning around the house.
Yeah.
You know, helping with dishes, asking Mom what he could do to help.
Changed.
It's yeah.
It does, though, because you don't realize,
Yeah.
there's little things I can be doing that
Yeah.
make a big
It's
difference.
just, especially at that impressionable age, it's could be a second, could be a minute, could be a month. Any
First-
little bit of time can make a lasting impression, positive or negative.
So what kind of functions or group activities do you have coming up in the future?
We have Jello wrestling and mud wrestling coming up soon. These two guys. Kidding. Len, you're going to join in on that, right? No. Well, most recently, we just did a Santa Claus toy run. It's called Back Santa, and we did a toy. We set it up once a year. The ride's free. You bring a toy, and we set you up with a breakfast. And then if you bring a food cart or something like that, that'll help out a family. We'll give you a free T-shirt. And we're still working on more of them. Thank you, Mr. Lynn. And so we did our toy run, and of course we did it on the coldest day in October, and the coldest day so far in 2015. And it was 20 degrees when I got out of my house at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning. And when I got to the run at what time? I think 10:30 or so. It was 38 degrees, which wasn't bad.
Well, let's see, 38 degrees really isn't that bad unless you're traveling 50, 60, 65 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah,
The
you know
chill
what, the wind chill
factor
is-
makes a big
Gets a bit
change.
chilly. Yeah.
The wind chill is just, that's.
I think
yeah.
I'm still trying to shake.
He was cold for like 2 days. I'm like, geez, man, you got to man up.
Got to put
Buy
some
some
weight.
thermals.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you,
I've been
put
there,
some
done
pounds.
that on
Put some weight on,
road
man.
tours years
Yeah.
ago. And we came back, and it was like 8 o'clock at night. It was in the late fall.
Yeah.
And
But once that sun
we were
goes
coming
down.
out of Barry, and
Jeez.
I froze, and it took me probably a day and a half to stop shaking. I shut the motorcycle
much,
off.
yeah.
When I shut the motorcycle
You kept
off, I
going.
thought it was still vibrating, but I realized it was me.
I've seen your bike too. You have a fairing on the front, so yeah, that tells me a lot. You must have been really cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a blast on the run. We didn't have very many bikes show up, but we had a lot of people show
You
up.
blame 'em.
Just drive. Well, the Witches Run was the same day, and the Witches Run that goes from Boston to Salem. It's usually 5,000 to 6,000 motorcycles, and 600. I'll tell you how cold that day
Yeah.
was. But we had a lot of people show up and just drop off toys. Didn't even ask for anything, and that was cool. We still did the run. There was only a few of us out there, 6 or 7 of us, but we had it all mapped out. So let's go for a ride. And it was a great scenic route, and we come down the other side of Mount Wachusett, and Mother Nature decided to start dropping these white snowflakes on us, and we're like, what in the hell? So I've ridden in snow before, and I was like, it'll be okay. Plus, it's a little warm. Not that bad, but then we hit that one stretch where there was no sun, and the snowflakes fell, and the bike started doing this, and I'm like, put skis on this next year.
It's a little slick.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
Gets brand new pavement. Gets
Yeah.
a little wet. It's a little slick.
The only other thing you need is wet leaves.
That's it, yeah.
Yep.
I was just
You hit
looking
the
like
trifecta.
I'm like, which way do I put the bike down? Oncoming traffic or into the tree? I'm trying to figure that one out.
So you start
And that's
planning
the
your
last thing you
departure.
want to do is put it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it turned out to be a great day, and we help out families in Millbury and Sutton and around this area. So it was a benefit. We raised quite a few toys, and we got a long ways to go. So we'll have a couple more benefits coming up, and keep doing what we're doing, because we got a big function coming up, which is breakfast with Santa. So and every child that comes gets a free toy, and gets a picture with Santa Claus. Nice Chris, the photographer, so it'll be
When will
professional.
that be?
Well, it's going to be in
Finalized date,
December,
yeah.
and that's to be determined, because there's 2 options that we're going to do. It's either going to be here in town, or it's going to be out in West Boylston. So
Okay, you have a
Still
website,
finalizing dates.
Yes,
and that
Facebook.
information will be on the website?
Absolutely. Once it's confirmed at our next meeting and the date is set, it'll all be up there.
And the website address,
It's
URL?
Facebook.com B.A.A.K Worldwide, which is B.A.A.K Worldwide, all one word.
Now, people who maybe don't want to become like one of you guys, but there's other ways to help
Oh,
too,
we have
right?
supporters.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
we have a whole crew of straight supporters. They don't ride, but
They
they
do
do the
things
exact
behind the
same things we
scenes.
do. You know, so they're there behind the scenes a lot of times, but they keep us going. You know, and if it wasn't for them, I don't know what we would do, to tell you the truth. No, really,
It'd be tough.
because
They do a lot
they
of the
organize
legwork.
so many things for us.
Yeah.
Because we've got, you know, once we're involved with the families, we're all wrapped up in that, and then we've got to disseminate all that information. But they keep us focused. You know, they keep us paying attention to the details. So, and it's
Also offers an outside view,
yes,
Yeah.
you know, because being so close to the families, it can get a little emotional or can sway to one thing, anger, that kind of stuff. The supporters help calm us down a little bit.
sometimes.
Sometimes, depending on the
Sometimes they
case. Depending on the case, but yeah, a lot of the times they keep us grounded and, like you said,
I'm sorry for yelling at you,
nose to the
Sammy.
nose to the grindstone, and keep us focused on task.
Yeah.
So now these folks that watch our videos, you know, they've all experienced driving in traffic and running across a small motorcycle group or even a large motorcycle group. Or they look in their rearview mirror on the highway and here comes a motorcycle run that you can't see the last vehicle. You know, there might be 50, 100, 150 motorcycles in a run. And in some cases, you know, fear strikes into their heart, you know, and especially if the motorcycles start pulling up and passing on them and now they're stuck in the middle and you know, they get fearful. You see that on movies on TV.
Oh, yeah.
And they're threatened, you know. And, you know, you go back to the old Marlon Brando movie. I'm trying to think of the name there with the brain.
got me,
I'm
man.
probably too young for that.
Before my time.
It was back in the late 50s, early 60s,
way.
and it was basically about the Hells Angels. They went in and they took over the town in California, and everyone was afraid of them. But today, when you see the motorcyclists coming, regardless of how their appearance is, whether they have denim cut-off sleeve jackets or leathers like you people are wearing, and tattoos all over their arm, their body, or even some of them with their face. You realize that, well, I don't know if a viewing audience realizes that many of those people, even in the Hells Angels, who are supposed to be the wildest group, the baddest group on the earth,
Respect.
are doctors, lawyers,
Yes, there. Yep.
professors in schools,
White-collar
they're
members of
teachers
society.
in local schools. They come from every occupation that
do.
you can imagine.
Absolutely.
They may seem like tough, hard-ass bad guys, you know, and yet they all have a heart that's beating, okay? And they all have, in most cases, I will say, compassion for those who are in need, those who are in trouble. And 99 out of 100 of those will always pull over if they see not only a woman, but a man in a broke-down automobile, stop and change their flat.
Yeah.
Or even
Yep.
go fetch gasoline for them.
Yep.
So what you see is just an outer appearance.
Exactly.
Yet
It is true.
you have
You're
hearts of
absolutely
gold.
Exactly.
You know, you have warm hearts.
Sometimes.
know.
Some days.
And,
Depends on the case.
and
You know, most of the
this
time.
world needs more people like that care about those around us,
Thank
you know, and are willing to step up and try to protect them.
Yeah,
what we
like a
need.
couple months ago, we came stopped somewhere and there was, I don't know how many motorcycles. And my girls, the first thing were like, I wonder who they're riding for. That was
Oh,
the first
cool.
thing, that was
That's
the first thing
awesome.
that they said, because they had a cousin that passed away 5 years ago from a car accident.
Yep.
And every year they've done a run for him. And so they know
So
there's a
it's
little
an
more,
annual-
there's a little
yeah.
more to it. It's not
course it
just a
is,
bunch
yeah.
of guys riding their motorcycles.
No.
Exactly.
More
slowing
than
up.
just a joyride.
And
Yeah.
most
Right.
oftenly, that's what you see when you see motorcyclists in large groups is they're riding for someone.
Yeah.
It's a cause.
You
There's
know,
a reason behind
it's a
it.
cause. We're not just out there because we like to ride, which
Most
of
of
course
them-
we do, but you're doing it for someone, to raise money for someone,
and that's what
or
that-
to
that's
help a
what-
family through the holidays, or something like
Pay
that.
medical expenses.
Whether they're
medical
raising it
scholarships.
for one particular individual, or
Or
one
group.
family,
Mhm.
or one cause, or many causes, you know. They'll go out and raise money for cancer, you know, for breast cancer,
Oh, yeah.
the other
We have
cancers,
a
brain cancer.
the ball coming up in October. No, November.
November.
Up in Salem.
And I know for a fact that some of these large groups, if there was a call for need for Red Cross for blood, they'd all be
They'd be
there
lining up.
donating.
Yep.
Not
It
spreading it,
doesn't matter
but
what the
donating.
cause
Right.
is. Once the word goes out that that's what's going to happen, you'll pull in people from everywhere. As long as they're on two wheels, most often they'll be there, no matter what group or what colors or anything.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't. You know, it's the cause. It's like we worked with Project New Hope. We talked about that
Veterans.
before. So they're veterans. They help veterans that are suffer from post-traumatic stress. And so, you know, it was an honor to be on their run. They asked us to come on their run this year. And they had close to 200 motorcycles on the run. And it was phenomenal. I mean, it's like, you know, you pay your $20, you go buy a T-shirt, there's another $20, buy a couple of stickers, and you do raffle tickets. By the time you're done, you're about $100 into it, you know, for the day. But you know that $100 is going somewhere where it should. I mean, these guys are going to camps, they're going for retreats, they're getting the treatment that they need, you know, and that's just the vets, you know. So then you get into other causes that we do, you know, that the other runs that they have. You know, whether it's a leukemia run or a child that's passed, you know, just a memorial run for somebody that was a dear friend, you know, of the community. Extreme Riders, we went on their run for T this year and had to be 700 motorcycles on this run. They closed down the highway for us, a whole lane of the highway, just to go right back by the spot where he passed. You know, so it's...
We will make sure that your contact information is at the end of this program.
Sweet.
And that way, anyone that views it can, you know, make contact with you, whether they want to become a member, or they want to contribute, or they want to help out with your
Or if
cause.
they need help. We have a new one now for, you know, like when we do the Christmas toys in our area and Back Santa comes out. We've been getting some responses, but if you want to put this up, it's santa.back13@gmail.com. And that's for families that need help throughout Christmas. And we're talking like, we really, if you contact us, be honest, we want to help the families that really need it, you know. And so if they got some responses so far, you know, for them in the area, and it's just going to keep building. But if you really do, if you need the help, contact us.
Well, we want to thank you for coming.
Thanks for having
And
us.
I hope that our viewing audience has watched this several times, and it touches your heart, and you're willing to step up and give a hand and help, you know, save and protect these children who are being abused. It happens daily. It happens next door to you, and that's a fact in many cases. Don't turn away. Apathy doesn't belong in our environment, in our world, you know. So what do you think, Dory?
I don't know, I hope everybody's inspired maybe to, you know, do a little good, spread a little love around, and just be helpful to each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're all brothers and sisters in this world. You know, we may not be blood related, but we all should care for our fellow man, woman, and children. You know, protect our world, so it'll be there for the future.
And do you have our words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom. I was hoping that you'd bring that up. You know, our words of wisdom for today are: growing old is inevitable. Growing up is optional. Till next time,
Take care.
be safe.